Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hesitation Station. It has been a minute since we've done a podcast episode because we've been doing a lot lately. But we're back because we want to stick to our roots. We want to keep doing podcasts, even if it's only three people listening to us. We don't care. We still enjoy doing this, and we still enjoy doing interviews and making new friends and all that good jazz. I'm Jay, along with my co-host Tank. How's it going, buddy?
Oh yeah!
I think he's hyped up. I'm
No,
hyped.
no,
I'm
no,
hyped
no.
up on C4.
Yeah, I'm not as hyped up as you are.
Sponsor us. Anyway,
It's cocaine in a can, baby.
um, yeah, we've been doing a lot lately. We went to Screen Gala. We went to the After Hours Screen Gala to be exact. Um, we went to Conuga. That was
Yeah.
fun. Which should a lot of hot takes should be dropping about now because I edited a lot of them. Still not even done. I I still got so many to do. But like life,
Have you done mine yet?
yes, yours is done. Yours is done.
Sweet.
So yeah, we have been doing a lot, and that's a great thing. We are totally happy. We are totally honored and thrilled to be a part of these things. We'll be mentioning something that we'll be doing here soon, but for right now, we're going to focus on today's episode. Because speaking of after hours, we ran into another one of our buddies that we've seen previous at the Screen Gala, our Spectrum Screen Gala it was last year. Um, and we just kicked it off this year again. And he is cool. He is our friend, and we wanted him to come on. So everybody, please welcome Count Drahoon.
The Lord of
Bam.
Darkness.
Hey, fellas, how's it
Hey,
going?
Hey,
how's
buddy.
it going?
All right, so just for my clarification, the word is cool and not cold. That's what the kids are saying, right?
Yes, as
Okay.
of 2026. Cool.
As of 20, okay, because I could never get that right. I always get cool and cold.
So
Reading
Count,
the
how
kids'
old
stuff.
are you now? You what, 500? 1,000?
Oh, no. I hit those milestones a while ago. To tell you the truth, I kind of forget, but I'm in or around 1500.
Oh. And
He's still a wee baby.
I
Wait,
wish.
wait, Count, are you rich?
Rich in spirit, yes.
Oh no. Oh no, he's a
Well,
broke
here,
vampire. Listen,
well,
Count.
no. Here's the thing. I would have been I, I would have been a materialistically rich vampire still had I not lived in Burbank for 2 years.
You know what?
Fair,
You know what? Fair. California, man.
fair enough.
Jesus.
I was gonna say, why do you think I had to go back to work for Kings of Horror? I had to get some more doubloons thrown my way, or shekels.
Yeah, whatever the kids are calling it these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Count, tell us about you, man. I know you do a lot of horror movies and talk about that kind of thing. So run it through the people that don't know what you
Well, that's a great question. I guess the best way to describe it, I'm a horror host.
Yep.
I've done a lot of different things over the years. I've been in film, I've done podcasts, and right now I'm going back to my roots, doing the more traditional horror host thing. Excuse me, where I introduce movies and then splice in here and there with factoids or jokes and odd sketches, and then I close it out. I've been doing that for the chopping block on Kings of Horror, as well as my own YouTube channel, Count Drahoon Presents. But I also do movie reviews. I've been doing a lot of, I guess you could say, one-man show kind of content over the last couple of years. So I'll do reviews. Sometimes I'll do story readings. And then every now and then I'll throw in a sketch if I can. Or I had a short-lived vlog series called Vlog of the Undead, where I was just sort of uh, filming my little misadventures in Los Angeles. But for the most part, it's just traditional horror hosting and also interviews. I do my interview show is called Interviewed by a Vampire. So I
Nice.
did it on my own for a long time, and now the show is exclusively on Kings of Horror. I interview mostly horror-related jokes, but excuse me, horror-related guests. But I also try to incorporate, maybe horror-adjacent folks. So, I had a movie reviewer on, my friend Kaylee from What's Over with Kaylee. She was a guest. I've also interviewed Honey the Mail Girl, Gwen Gooley from the Svengoolie show, or well, House of Svengoolie, I should say. And I've got a few interviews coming down the pike. I'm not quite ready to talk about it because I haven't recorded them yet. But the show is kind of taking on a life of its own, and yeah, just doing overall content creation, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so you got it packed, and that's smart because we've had instances where we have been like, oh, we're gonna have this person on, and then stuff comes up, and it's like, oh, well, hey,
Yeah,
Surprise.
that was a hard lesson learned
yeah,
because when I first started doing that, uh, as soon as I would book the guest, I would just be like, oh hey, I'm interviewing so and so, and then Murphy's Law always has a tendency to catch up with you, so they would drop out, or in the early days, the technical glitches were so bad that I ended up having to either re-record the interview
hmm
or do other things, or
Yeah.
they just they couldn't come back for a second round. So
yeah.
yeah, it's you got to be careful with that.
Editing can only do so much, guys. We
That's
can
right.
only do so much.
I only have so many skills, man.
Oh,
and,
that isn't that.
and
That's
one of them is walking.
yeah,
And sometimes I question that.
I,
walking and chewing gum, but I can't do those at the same time.
I tried and wound up in the lake. I'm still not sure how that happened.
You
I
never know.
tried. I tried. I ended up in the back rooms. I don't know where that was. But anyway, it's fine.
I knew you were different. You're a lizard person now.
But yeah, we met 2 years ago at the Spectrum Screen Gala.
Mhm.
And you at first I was like, I looked at Tank and
God,
I
it
was
was a
like,
year ago.
was it a year ago?
Yeah,
My
it was
my
last
fault.
year.
My fault.
It was
My
the
fault.
it was the first gala. Well, it was the
2025.
first gala, but we ran into each other again for the second one earlier this
Yeah.
year.
My bad, Lee. My bad. Anyway, uh, and we ran into each other, and like I remember seeing you at first, and the first thing I thought is, why is there a vampire in here? Why is there everybody that night was all like, why is Joker in here? And I'm like, what
Oh, the
screams
Joker.
Joker to you? I think
Probably the white.
vampire. Yeah,
Yeah.
could be.
You, Jay, it's funny you say that. Am I allowed to cuss on the
Yeah,
show?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, it's a funny story. I used to before I moved to California, I was doing a lot of local shows in Murfreesboro, where I lived at the time, and I liked to go out to the comedy shows late at
Mm,
night. So sometimes I would go like just at, kind of as a promotional tool, because a lot of times the shows that I was doing out of there, because I used to do like live radio theater shows, that was also the place where the open mic nights for the comics were. So I went late one night, and I was just myself, and I just sat in the bar. But most everybody knew me because they were all local comics, and or they were associated with the organization that was putting on the comedy shows, and they were also sponsoring my events as well. So everybody knew who I was. So it was just you know, it was a normal Thursday night, really.
yeah.
But there was a female comic that was from out of town, and this was her first time doing the showcase. And she gets up on stage. She's like the third comic up, and she just goes, "Guys, there's a fucking vampire in the audience, and nobody is freaked out about it but me. Why is this normal?"
It would have been great if like all the people were like, they look
Oh,
around. What are you talking about? What? We don't see
Well,
what you
but
see.
the thing is, that's kind of what the reaction was. They're just like, "Oh, well, that's just the Count. He's here
Yeah,
he's here every week. We see him all the time."
Well,
That's
so like when you how do I put this? When you are the Count, no one else like bats an eye because that's what you are. Because we got a friend of ours that like his name is Randy, and
Mhm.
everyone knows him in Tupelo as Elvis because he's Elvis. He has the hair, he has the
Mhm.
get up. That's because he's Elvis. But like
Right.
when is that the same kind of thing when you put on Count?
Well, when I go to familiar places, yes. So I feel like at this point, a lot of the regulars that come back to the Scream Gala, they know
Mm-hmm.
me. And of course, the whole reason why I was down there was because me and Lee are friends. You know, we've been friends for a while, and he
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to come down, and he invited me. But yeah, usually like the places that I go to do my shows, like at Cedar Glade Brews in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, everybody knows who I am because they see my posters or they've seen my show on a random Friday night. So, and of course, when I lived in LA, I wasn't the weirdest thing that anybody ever saw. So,
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
uh,
LA be So I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes when I look at LA and Hollywood, I just think of it as like a smaller version of Japan because there's a lot of weird shit there.
um, well, I guess in a way, because you are right. I mean, Los Angeles is comparatively a lot smaller than
Hey,
Tokyo, but I will say that I think Tokyo is a lot cleaner.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
tank, tank.
Ignorance.
There's a cat
That,
behind
that
you.
ignore Drahoon's familiar.
Well,
So
hey, if it
Count,
makes
tell me, are you a fan? Because you do horror host, so which means you would probably know a lot about this. But are you a fan of George Romero? Do you like his movies?
I do, yeah, I love George Romero.
What is your favorite movie?
It's a good question.
Like, I can tell you right now, mine is Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, that's a good one. I really like Creepshow.
Okay,
I
okay.
I really there's just so much about it because it's his direction, it's Stephen King's writing. It just all fits together so well. It's a
I didn't
thoroughly
know.
entertaining movie.
I didn't know him and Stephen King did a collab together.
Let me double check on that.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure
I don't
Stephen
know
King
that
wrote the
much, but
script.
see, here it
I'm
is. Creep Show, 1982,
hmm
written by Stephen King. Yep.
Yeah, he wrote because the whole thing was he had these story ideas and he didn't really. I don't think he wanted to write it out as a short story, so he just decided he was going to pitch a script, and that's what George Romero wanted to do. So,
Hmm. No, I didn't know
because I mean,
that.
Stephen King is in it. He
Uh,
plays the.
oh,
Have you seen Creepshow?
I have not.
it's been
Okay.
years since I watched it. I'll have to go back
Okay.
and watch it again.
So so it's an anthology horror film, and that's the other. I'm a huge fan of anthology horror. So the first story, it's about a farmer who has this basically this alien plant lands in his farm and starts to grow a giant harvest. I mean, the plant just grows, like it consumes his whole farm, and eventually it consumes his house and stuff. Stephen King is the farmer
Yeah.
in that first story. So Tom Atkins is in it too. If you're a big
Nice.
Tom Atkins fan, so he's of course he's great in everything, but it's a good movie. The other one I will say, I mean, I love Night of the Living Dead. I feel like, but I think everybody loves Night of the Living Dead. There's a movie that he did. It's actually a vampire film called Martin. It's a
Martin.
very interesting movie. If you want to, you can watch it on Tubi. It's really interesting because you're not. It's one of those things. It's a little bit like Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage, but a lot less silly
Hmm.
because you're not really sure if Martin is a vampire or if he's like a psychopath. Because
Find out which one.
well, it's one of the two.
Yeah.
It can't be both. So like he really is, because the thing is he tells everybody that he's not, but he kills people and he drinks their blood. And the old man that he comes to live under keeps calling him Nosferatu because he swears up and down that Martin has been alive at least since the early 1900s. So
Yeah.
it's a really good movie. It's one of those films that he did that it doesn't really get talked about as much.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but it's a solid, and it looks real the way that it's shot,
For
because
the
he shot
time.
it very, yeah, he shot it very similarly to a movie that he did. It was actually a lost film up until fairly recently. It was called The Carnival. And it was like it it played on Shudder, but it's not really a horror movie. It's more like
Hmm.
a art house movie, but it's shot in the same style. So it's got that nice 70s like grainy look to it. So it's a very interesting movie, and The Carnival's interesting too. If you're, if you're wanting to watch it, and it actually it doesn't deal with elderly abuse, but it deals with just the idea of like elderly people being kind of shuffled away, towards the end of their life, and like, nursing homes and stuff like that. So there is some commentary, some social commentary about, how we as a society treat the elderly and stuff like that. So, and that was in
Okay.
it was the mid
The
70s, I want to
the
say.
amusement park, 1975.
The amusement park, excuse me. Yes, sorry.
That's fair. That's fair.
Nice.
So, my question to you, strictly to you, is a lot of people say that horror hosting has died out. What do you say to that? Or
The
or movie hosting in general, I guess.
Well, movie hosting is a little. That's actually a really good question. So I would say with horror hosting,
Mhm.
there's a huge renaissance going on right now. There are more horror hosts that are being added to the ranks. I mean, you just look at what you got going on right now. You have Joe Bob Briggs on Shudder. Rhonda Shear's back. She just relaunched Up All Night on Kings of Horror, which is, happens to be my channel as well. Svengooli's going strong.
Dude.
I think more people watch Svengoolie now than they ever did back in the late 70s and the 80s.
Yep.
I think he averages about 1 million people a week.
Oh wow.
And of course the show is expanded with, House of Svengoolie, because he has his side characters. I think they do a monthly show. I'd have to look again. Gwen, I'm sorry if you're listening. But they do their own broadcasts, and that's a completely different thing, because, they have their own social media marketing that they do somewhat separate from Svengoolie as a whole. So I would say it's a big market for sure. And some folks are kind of getting out of it. I heard that, I mean, if I'm wrong, I hope he will correct me on this, but I know that like Dr. Sarcophagi has retired, or is at least in semi-retirement, but you still got, Mummy and the Monkey.
Mhm.
uh Cinema is, gosh, I can't ever remember the name of his show, but it's Dr. Lobo's show.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Hmm.
it's his show. Midnight Mausoleum is still really big out in Iowa. Um, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name, the host of that show. But even down in Mississippi, I mean, Lee's got a really big following
Yeah.
for the show that he does for After Hours Cinema. So I would say that it's there. And the show that I was on, the Chopping Block, I would argue that there's a big demand for horror hosts, because it's a very special kind of niche,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that a lot of people miss, and that they've been craving for a long time. And I think that that's why, Joe Bob show's been so successful, and why Svengoolie's been so successful. Now I will say, movie hosting, that may be a different story. Any sort of hosting outside of the horror genre, because I do miss, Turner Classic Movies. I was a big fan of Robert Osborne, And I think Ben Mankiewicz still hosts movies, but I feel like TCM has just kind of been shelved, with all this stuff going on with the Warner Brothers sell and all
Hmm.
that. So
Yeah.
I know that there are some attempts to kind of bring it back, and we'll see. But I just for the horror hosting, I think that has a little bit more staying power because there's more to it than just introducing a movie and then presenting trivia. There's an entertainment aspect to it as well. I think
Hmm.
that's what good horror hosting is. It walks a fine line between being very entertaining and being very informative.
Makes sense. I mean, it kind of goes to where what we talked about at the gala. I was talking to you about. I had no idea who Count Drahoon was.
Oh,
Um,
he's another one. Yeah.
yeah, and like when I first met him, I was like, "Why is there a vampire at Preserve Halloween?" Because that's where I saw him. I was like, "Why is there? Who is this dude?" And then I went down, like I told you at the place, man. I went down a rabbit hole, and to me, he does so well at describing movies, showing me new movies that I've never even seen,
Hmm.
um, and that's the kind of stuff that I like. You
Yeah.
embody that. You describe the movie, you tell me what I'm looking for, what I'm about to watch, stuff like that. That's what I like to see. You don't have to be a
Mm.
horror host. It's just more of let me know what I'm getting into kind of thing. Like, if I've never seen Land of the Dead, for example, okay, what is it about? Just about zombies? No, well, this is what's going on. The zombies get a little bit smarter, blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. That way
Mm.
I'm not going into it blind. And I think hosts should be not a dying breed. I think it should still be up and going because people like I personally enjoy it. So that's my two takes.
Now, what I will say though is for horror hosts that are starting out that may not be as established as like a Svengoolie, um, we are kind of running into a bit of a problem. I've noticed that YouTube, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just that they've gotten rid of so many people behind the scenes that a lot of it's run by AI, but there seems to be a lot more unnecessary copyright strikes.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. So I have a hosted film that I did on my YouTube channel. I have Night of the Living Dead,
Hmm.
and it got copyright it got a copyright ding, not quite a strike,
Yeah.
but and this movie's been in the public domain since it was released, I've appealed it. I said no, this is a public domain film. You can't, nobody has a copyright to it because it's everybody has had access to this movie for over 50 years at this point. And YouTube got back to me and just said, well, we disagree, and just sort of left it at that. So I think with what horror hosts are, I mean, we'll just have to be flexible in the future. We're just gonna have
Yeah.
to figure out ways. Like if we can't host movies, what can we do? Are we gonna, not to talk about myself, but are you gonna do more like a talk show thing and have guests on, or
Hmm.
maybe you do video essays about movies instead of movies itself. But I think overall, there's the medium will always be here. It may have to evolve because YouTube has gone insane, but we'll see.
That's fair. You
Yeah.
good, Tank?
No, YouTube has gone nuts, man. And I mean, as far as the hosts go, I am a big fan of horror hosts simply because, and this is just my opinion, horror movies these days suck. You know, I
Facts.
mean, yeah, you get, you know, major major name actors in them. That's great. Yeah,
uh,
they play the character perfectly. Yada yada yada. But 9 times out of 10, when I watch them, I'm not
What's it?
scared.
You know what's gonna happen. You're
Yeah,
gonna go in
it's
that
it's the
closet.
same. Yeah. Oh my God, there's a creepy noise over there. Let's go see what it is. Like it's
Come on, gang.
And then you go back and you look at, Nightmare on Elm Street,
Hmm.
Nosferatu, Friday the 13th, all the older ones, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, in my opinion, the good ones, because you didn't have at the time, you didn't have all the flashy stuff. You didn't have
Mm.
a lot of CGI. You didn't have the AI helping. It was special effects artists that
Right.
did the explosions or the makeup or the props and I think that's one thing that Hollywood's gotten away from is, yeah, you have the actors, but now there's all these tools that could do all kinds of things that you couldn't before. And while I am a fan of progress, because if you stagnate, it's going to end.
Yeah.
At the same time, you need to remember where you came from, because if you forget where you've come from as far as like your skills and your background and everything, yeah, you might be able to make a crap ton of money, but you're going to lose yourself in the process. And what's the point of losing yourself to make money if the passion you have for what you're doing dies?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
No,
right.
I would agree with you. I would say that most movies nowadays are very lackluster. I think on average, it's fair to say that 90% of movies suck anyway, just because there's just a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have limitations on your budget. Sometimes there's something in the story writing process that you thought worked, but when you put it out into an audience, it's not received well. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of different factors. But I would say that nowadays, I, I would say probably at least 95% of movies suck.
I'll,
So
I'll give, I'll give credit where credit's due. Case in point, somebody had the bright idea to go and watch, you took me to that god awful movie.
Which one? I took
what
you
So
was
to a
the
lot.
we
what
went
was
and
the
watched
movie?
Iron Lung.
I
Oh, you
loved
didn't
it.
Now,
like
now,
it?
hold on. All right. So
No,
let me,
Okay.
because he refuses to
let me
watch the
preface
gameplay.
this. Let me preface this. I had no interest in watching that movie whatsoever. Didn't know what it was
Mhm.
about. Didn't care. I'm not a fan of Markiplier. Never have
Mhm.
been. Probably never will be. It's not that I have any hate or anything for the guy. He
Mhm.
just don't pique my interest.
That's fair. That's
If you
totally
don't
fair.
pique my interest, I'm not going to watch,
Mhm.
regardless of if somebody tries to force me to.
I'm the other way for the record.
Well, on my screen, I'm looking this way and it's looking at you, so I don't know what to tell you.
I will tell
Uh,
you this. You may not be a fan of Mark. That's fine. I'm not a big
well,
fan of him either.
let me finish.
Okay.
Mhm.
For what he tried to do with his own money, hey, I can do that too. For what he tried to do with his own money, no big backers or anything, he did really well.
Yeah.
It was a really well
Mhm.
put together movie. If I came into it as like a suspense slash horror movie and just ignored the fact that it was based on a video game that I have no fucking clue about, it was fine.
Mhm.
But we went in, I sat down. I'm gonna be honest with you. The first like 10 minutes of it, I thought it was still a preview. No, it was the
Mhm.
movie. I was like, what is he doing? Why are we doing this? Why is he in a submarine? And by the time the movie was over, I was still confused as hell. It was an all right movie as far as
Mhm.
movies go, but I no.
So that's totally fair. Now, what I will say, because I really enjoyed Iron Lung, and I'll tell you why.
Please do.
So factoring in that Markiplier, I believe the budget was between $2 to $3 million,
Yeah,
and it's grossed as of right now about 50 million worldwide, and that is an amazing accomplishment.
yeah,
And now, granted, I mean, you don't. For me, it's not just the box office receipts. And let's be fair, I think a big reason why his movie did so well, it's two reasons. It's number one, he had a big following. Markiplier, I think he has millions of subscribers on YouTube, but I forgot the exact number, but it's a lot. There's a lot of people that love Markiplier. And number two, there's just not a lot of good stuff out there right now. And I think when the bar is set so low, you have a movie that comes out like Iron Lung, that, you know, if it debuted on the film festival circuit, it probably would have been fine, and maybe it would have gotten some sort of low key distribution deal. But I think just the fact that Markiplier loved this video game so much that he bought the rights to it and endeavored to make this movie over the course of several years. And look, even though he spent his own money, $3 million is not a lot of money to make a movie nowadays. I think what he did with that money, he had very talented and creative people that worked under him that knew what to do in terms of making this movie the very best that it could be on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
And because of that, I really enjoyed it, because it's a very different movie. It is, for me, it was very thrilling. There were parts that kind of dragged on, because I do agree with you, like the fact that the whole movie is in one whole location the entire time. That for a filmmaker just starting out, like doing that kind of movie, it could be real hit or miss. But for me also, it was kind of a light bulb moment, because I really think that what Markiplier has done has, and I don't think the impact of it is going to be felt. It may be a little while longer before we fully understand what's really happened, but I think that Markiplier basically killed Hollywood, and he destroyed the studio system, because I think that this is the way going forward now, is that in order to make a movie, or to make a good movie, you're gonna have to. I mean, you're basically gonna have to be doing what we're doing. You're gonna have to go out there on YouTube, online, make content that people enjoy, and then build influence for yourself. And once you have the ability to, you know, once you're able to have a big following and you're able to make loads of money off of that, then you can start financing your passion projects. I think that that's what's going to happen. And I'll tell you this, you mark my words, like Markiplier, and I know that there have been YouTubers that have done what he's done, but I think Markiplier has broke the dam, and I think you're going to see a lot more. I think you're going to see the likes of a Wendigoon, maybe even a Meat Canyon, and other YouTube, and even a Mr. Beast. I'm telling you, they're going to go out there and they're going to make feature length movies.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the next frontier.
That's why I said what I said. It's like, so like I said, I don't know anything about the video game. But if I look at his movie as a movie, like as a suspense / horror movie, he did really well.
Yeah.
Like there were plenty of spots where I was on my seat, on the edge of my seat, like, okay, what's going to happen? What was that in the background? What's hitting the outside? You know, I mean, for a $3 million budget, and no major backers or anything, he did really well.
This was a solid debut for a feature length filmmaker.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes filmmakers years to build up at Markiplier's level. Now, granted, he did have money, so he was able to finance this, but he has the talent.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's what's so exciting about it. Is I want his movie to do well. I really do, because anything that will collapse the studio system, I'm totally for.
Agreed.
Hey, I promise I'm not bitter.
I will tell you this. I knew nothing about the game. I went into this movie not knowing anything about it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was so happy with it. I'm
Hmm.
not a big fan of Mark. My wife is. She loves Mark to death. But like, I'll watch his videos few far in between kind of thing. But that's
Hmm.
about it. That's about the extent of me with Mark. So like, I went in there like Tank said, gotcha, buddy. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I still was
Same.
confused, like Tank was, but I still enjoyed it. But see, here's Tank's problem. Tank doesn't want to take out 30 minutes out of his busy schedule and watch the Markiplier videos that are less than 15 to 20 minutes. Like, I want you to know this, Tank. I watched the two videos, and a lot of that movie made sense. And
I
it's
have
like,
too many important things to do, man.
In
like
Listen,
sleep.
it in Tank's defense, I'm not much on watching video gameplay videos, so I can kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah, but I tell him to do that because
Hmm.
he won't be confused. I went into like I didn't want to watch it, but I watched it where I
Hmm.
wasn't confused, and I was like, after watching, I was like, so that's what that's about in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it now.
Well, I understood what was going on. It wasn't hard for me to follow at all. But I will say though that maybe watching those gameplays may give me maybe a better appreciation for it, because I did hear that during those gameplay videos you could see like Markiplier fall in love with that video game,
Yeah,
and you could
Nice.
kind of see the creative spark stem from those. So I don't know, maybe I'm sure my producers will sit me down at some point to make me watch it. So I didn't do a review on it, but I did talk about it very briefly on my on one of my Patreon videos, because
Nice.
I had just seen it, so I wanted to make my remarks about it, because like I said, I think that this is I think it should be talked about more, because I really think that this is low key a very big turning point in cinema right now.
yeah,
Yeah, at some point, like you said earlier, at some point they'll feel the actual effect of it, and I hope it does happen. I hope, whether it be 5 years down the road or 20 years down the road, we get a lot more independent filmmakers that
Right?
put their stuff out.
We're on the cusp of it, I'm telling you, because Hollywood is just making a lot of unforced errors that they don't need to make. Um, I'll give you another example. There's a movie that just came out. I'm a huge fan of it. It's right now it's one of my favorite movies of the year, and we're recording this on March 1st. I saw this movie a couple of weeks ago in February. It's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. It's directed
okay,
by Gore Verbinski, who
Hmm.
I believe he directed one or two of the original Pirates of the Caribbean movies with Johnny
Oh,
Depp.
yeah,
yeah.
And so, I mean, you think about it, he was attached to that franchise. That's $1 billion film franchise. It made Touchstone a lot of money back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's interesting to me because like the budget for this movie I think was like 20 million. So a decent sized budget. It's still not nearly as big as, something that Christopher Nolan would make, or a Marvel movie, or anything like that. And I it's my understanding that Verbinski basically did not get the green light to make this movie from any major studio. He basically had to go around and cobble together a bunch of different production companies to come together and fund it to make the movie.
Yeah.
And there's a pattern here, because it's not just Gore Verbinski. I noticed this also. Not a horror movie. This movie came out earlier this year. Well, no, late last year. Excuse me. It's called Song Sung Blue. It's Hugh
I,
Jackman and Kate Hudson.
how is that?
Um, it's a fantastic film. Really, like I here's the thing. At first I wasn't interested in it, because I saw like the production stills and I saw the
Hmm.
title, and at first I thought it was a Neil Diamond biopic, and I'm like, okay, I like Neil Diamond, but you know if you see one music biopic, you've seen them all. They're kind of cookie cutter. They're all the same to me.
Yeah.
But then I heard, no, this is a movie about a Neil Diamond tribute band. That interested me. I'm like, okay, that's a little different. And then I found out that it was directed by the same guy that made Hustle and Flow and made Dolomite Is My Name, which is a really good movie. That was it's one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies of all time. And I saw the movie. It was fantastic. It was my favorite non-horror film of the year. Probably my favorite film of the year, period, if I'm being honest with you. Besides Weapons, I did enjoy Weapons a lot. But I heard the backstory. Apparently, Craig Brewer took this movie to almost every studio in town, and they turned it down. Even though the budget of this movie was, I mean, probably no more than 20 million. So like a low, not a low budget movie, but like less than medium sized budget. And he finally got the green light from the studio that ended up picking it up. And the only reason why they did it was because they liked him and they said they'd do it as a favor.
Yeah.
And it's just this really disturbing trend that filmmakers who've done very well in the past, that, you know, are good at what they do, are not able to make original films. If you don't bring to the studios like an IP or a reboot idea that's, you know, an IP that's been in the public consciousness for a long time, or if you're not interested in remaking Cape Fear for a third time, which is happening, by the way, then they're not interested in greenlighting anything, and that's insane to me, because see, the cat's emerging. You could see her.
There's the kitty.
That's
it's insane to me, because they're basically taking, you know, like Marvel will have no problem spending $200 to $300 million on a movie that will barely break even. If they're lucky, it'll even break even at this point, because I think people are just, they're tired of Marvel, and they're tired of superhero movies in general right now. So they'll waste money, or throw good money after bad.
Yeah.
And for some reason they won't take the smart approach, which is like, for the 200 million that you have for Iron Man 8, just make 5 to 10 good movies and make a return off of that. But they're not doing it, because they're afraid.
That's the crazy thing. You know, it's, to me, in my mind, movies are kind of like sports in a sense that they're seasonal. You know, you've got baseball season, football season, hockey season, all that jazz. Well, you know, what was it? When they came out with the very first Iron Man movie, and then that spawned everything that they've done, that was the superhero season. If you look at it now, it's swapped to something completely different. And going back to the cookie cutter comment, I mean, if you look at what's been put out over the past couple of years, that's pretty much all it is. It's copy, paste it, maybe alter. It's like that whole, hey, let me copy your homework. Sure, just make it different so they don't notice.
Yeah.
Well, they copied damn near everything.
They do.
And it's like, you don't really see, like you said, you don't really see any original stuff out now. You know, it's like when Popeye came into the public domain, and when Winnie the Pooh. Now we've got these horror movies with Winnie the Pooh and Popeye, and I'm just like, what are y'all smoking?
They're great though. I love them.
I was gonna say that the crazy thing is like, as stupid as those premises are, I'm not sure if that's correct grammar, but it doesn't matter. As silly and off the wall as those movie ideas are, I think they're probably some of the most original, like, fresh ideas that are out there right now. Like, I saw Screamboat, which is the Steamboat Willie parody.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I had such a good time watching that movie.
We've watched
Um,
all of the Popeye the Sailor Man movies. We watched both of the Winnie the Pooh movies. It's it's hilarious, but it's also sad. It's hilarious because it's not something you would expect,
right.
like as a horror movie, but it's sad because once again, it's not something you would expect, but it's blowing a lot of the major motion pictures out of the water, in my opinion.
It is. No, it 100% is. And the reason why, like, Hollywood has had a rough few years, because of COVID, um, because some of the internal creative making decisions that have been made, um, have been, well, they've been, shall we say, too corporate. They're not actually interested in letting visionaries and filmmakers like make stuff. They're
Yeah,
just they're every idea has to be run through a focus group, and every idea has to be run through an HR department to make sure that it fits, it checks every box, so to speak. And I think those decisions have crippled Hollywood in a way. And when I say Hollywood, I just mean like a conglomerate of like all the major studios,
yeah.
which I know that they don't necessarily own themselves. That are all smaller pieces of larger portfolios for tech companies and stuff like that. But still, like but obviously you could tell movie people are not running the studios anymore. And I think that's a
Yeah.
huge problem because they're not thinking in terms of creativity. They're thinking in terms of um, corporate culture, like corporate office culture kind of stuff.
It's
And
funny that you say that because it instantly made me think. And as far as like all the cookie cutter stuff goes, Hollywood and has kind of turned into like the Hallmark movies. During Christmas and all these holidays, they have the Hallmark movies, and it's always young lady is engaged to this high class businessman in the city, but has to go
mhm,
back to her family's home in the country to help them out and falls for hometown Jimbo and
right. But the thing is, the Hallmark movie. The only difference is the Hallmark movies actually make money.
Mhm.
fair, fair.
Fair.
They do. And so anyway, so with landing my point a little bit. Sorry, I'm a little long winded.
You're good.
That So over time, the quality of the films that they're making, and they also just got arrogant with the amount of money that they were pumping into just one movie, production costs and marketing costs and all that. You know, the quality of the movies weren't good. People stopped coming to see them. So you
Right.
had diminishing returns, and also just the way that the marketing campaigns were just terrible. Because instead of like just trying to make your movie look good, like after a while, like Rings of Power, the terrible Lord of the Rings spin-off show that's on Amazon, like that's some of the worst marketing I think I've ever seen in my life. Like they're
Yeah.
like you have all like you they paid all these influencers to come in and talk up this show, and it's very obvious, like actually going to these people's social media accounts and just listening to the way they talk about this show. They've never read Tolkien. They've never seen any of the Peter Jackson movies. It's very obvious that they're not real fans, but they're basically being forced down the throats of normal audience members and being told, see, this is, our product is good and you should watch it. And then it comes out, it gets terrible notices. And instead of just being gracious and saying, hey, thanks for watching our show, we'll do a better job, it's, well, you hate this movie because you're a terrible person.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or you hate the show because you're a terrible person. So that's
I
turning people off. And
I hated Rings of Power.
so did I. So
Yeah,
did
I did
I.
not like it. Now, Tank, however, what do you have to say?
Oh
I enjoyed it.
no.
Is
You
he's
liked it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So when when I found out about it, I was apprehensive because I've read all the books, I've watched all of Peter Jackson's movies, I've watched the
Mhm.
animated Hobbit. Like I've done a deep dive down the rabbit hole. There
Mhm.
was even a point in high school where I started studying Elvish.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, yeah, like it was up there. And I mean, it was an itch that needed to be scratched for me because if you go back and look through all of his stuff, there's still plenty of things. You know, you got what is it, the First Age, everything that happened when all the oh God, what are they called? The angels or whatever. I can't for the life of me remember their actual name. Came down like when the world was created and everything, and it kind of scratched an itch for me because it touched on things before Sauron came to power, like
Sure.
before he actually took over, and like how Mordor was created and all that. And I mean, if I look at it as a adventure type series and just ignore that it's based off of uh, Tolkien's works, to me it's great.
Okay.
But when you look at it through the eyes of a fan of Tolkien, there's a lot of inconsistencies.
Well, okay, so it's like the 1998 Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick. If you don't call it
Yeah,
Godzilla, it's fine. But when you start calling it Godzilla, that's when people want to start fighting you.
it's also like that god awful live action Avatar: The Last Air. There is no live action in Ba Sing Se.
Okay, I'm glad you did that, Tank, because that was my next question. That was my like segue question or whatever you want to call it. Y'all two have to name a director you like and a director you hate.
Okay.
So I'll go first.
Oh God.
My favorite director is James Wan. Every time I watch his movies, he's a good horror director. He did a lot of like I think he did what is it? The the one with the Warrens in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the Conjuring.
Conjuring. Let me
Yeah.
see what because I don't want to get this wrong over the internet because they
Yeah,
will.
the Conjuring and the Annabelle movies
Yeah,
and all that.
Saw, Conjuring. I mean, he's done Insidious. I mean, he every time I walked in, beside Aquaman, because he directed Aquaman, I didn't like Aquaman, but every time I walked into his movies, I've been happy. I've walked out of his movies every single time, especially like Insidious and The Conjuring. Been great. Um, a director I absolutely hate. M Night Shyamalama Ding Dong. I cannot get behind any of his movies, and it's not just the Avatar movie that are the one he did the one of Ong and all that crap.
Yeah.
That's not it. He also directed The Happening, which I literally walked out of that movie in the middle of the movies. Like it was that bad. Like I at first it kind of hooked me. I'm like, okay, what's going on? People are dying, and they're like, I got to talk to the grass. The grass is the earth and the grass and the trees are taking revenge on the humans. I'm like, nope. Mm-mm. I got up. I got up and I left. I was like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever watched. And then Marky Mark over here, Mark Wahlberg, was talking to a tree, and he's like, I knew you're listening. I'm here. I'm like, dude, no, I can't. I can't. I'm done. I'm done with this. So that's why I don't like them. But those are my two.
Okay. How about you, Tank?
So I'm a fan of Peter Jackson and Christopher Nolan.
Hmm.
Obviously, big fan of the Lord of the Rings movies. Big fan of Inception. Big fan of the Dark Knight movies. That Jay is still pissed off about to this day.
I am.
Yeah, my Bane costume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We went to a con and I cosplayed as Bane and I got stopped like every 10 feet because people wanted pictures. Jay spent months putting his costume together, dyed his hair when he had hair. and all this other shit, and put on a fake tattoo to be Anbu Kakashi, and only got one picture the entire time he asked
Oh.
to be in it. So he's been a little salty since
It's
then.
okay.
I can
It's
imagine.
okay. Yeah, it's okay.
And then as far as worst, um, so obviously one of them is I agree with my lovely co-host over here, Mr. M. Night Shyamalan, because not just for Ong and the Last Airbender, but I get the concept of his movies, like The Village. I'm not a fan, man. It's not. I enjoy a plot twist as much as the next. Fine
Okay.
with it. That's cool. But he does way too much signs. Water hurt and ain't like huh? No, that makes no sense because there's water everywhere. There's moisture in the air 24/7. No. But then we're gonna talk about this one movie that needs to be like locked in a vault and buried underground. The 2009 live action film of Dragon Ball Evolution, directed by Mr. James Wong. Sir, were you on crack or something when you made this movie? That is the only reason why I even know about that movie is because I was in the military at the time and I just got off work and I went to the rec center, grabbed a snack, and they had something playing. I heard Goku. I was like, hell yeah. I sat down, I looked at the screen and got right back up and left. No.
It's funny to me because what I'm looking at, he's the one behind all the Final Destinations. So the fact that he can do good movies and then he's like, you know what? I'm
And
gonna
he
make a Dragon
does
Ball movie.
that. Like, Goku, Goku looked like he looked like an F boy. He looked like a guy that you would walk, you'd see him in school and be like, no,
No.
we're going that way. And Piccolo, I don't know what they did to Piccolo, but he looked
Hey,
like he hit the juice hard.
hey, don't be shitting on James Marston now.
Hey, I'm
That man did it
I'm
for
not
free.
I'm
Wait,
they
James
should have
Marsden is
paid him for
Piccolo?
that.
Yes, James Marston is Piccolo.
That is a very unusual casting choice.
They
Well,
should.
no, so James Marston is a big fan of Dragon Ball. And matter of
Okay.
fact, he did that movie for free for the love of Dragon Ball because he's a fan. And he didn't realize how bad it was. I don't think he realized how bad it was. He's
I
done
see.
so much for Toriyama, or for the Dragon Ball scene. Like he was Zamatsu. I think I'm saying that right. The Fuse Zamatsu or whatever it is. And he
Yeah.
also played the Elder Zamatsu before he got fused. So I mean, he's done voice acting for him. I mean, he loves Dragon Ball. He's a nerd just like us. So
They did him dirty.
they did. They did. But what about yours, Count? And then we'll head off here.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do they have to be living, or is this
No,
just
no,
of all time?
all time.
Okay, that's a hard one. I have a
It's
lot
like
of
you
things.
just made it difficult.
You did. Well, no, I'll tell you what's the most difficult is directors that I like because there's so many.
Yeah.
But okay, I'll give you one that I love, and understand though that my favorite like changes all the time. But it
Yeah.
kind of popped into my head. David Lynch.
Okay.
David Lynch is one of my favorite directors of all time.
Is he an
Uh,
older or?
the are you familiar with the TV show Twin Peaks?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
A little
Okay,
bit.
so he created Twin Peaks. He directed Eraserhead. Um,
He did the original
Lavelle.
Dune.
Yeah, from
Oh
1984.
wow!
Not
Okay.
not my favorite David Lynch film, but still an enjoyable film. I think it's a lot of fun. He also did Lost Highway, Wild at Heart, lots of really great films. If you haven't had a chance to check out his work, there's a
Yeah,
director. There's a director that's a little bit more new that I really can't stand. Her name is Emerald Fennell. She directed the newest adaptation of Wuthering Heights that just came out. I haven't seen it, but her last movie before that, Saltburn,
yeah.
Hmm.
I oh my gosh. It's literally a ripoff of another movie called The Talented Young Mr. Ripley. And according to her, she's never seen it. And to be fair, I haven't seen it either, but I did go back and kind of I looked at Saltburn's plot breakdown. I looked at Mr. Ripley's plot breakdown. The movies are almost the same beat for beat. I watched a bit of Saltburn, and I just found it was just one of the most pretentious movies I'd ever seen in my entire life. And it definitely wasn't for me. But there were people out there when it came out that were shilling for it. And they just thought that this was the greatest thing ever. People out there wow, I've never seen a movie like this. This is fantastic. And I'm like, well, you don't watch much movies.
Right.
Because I can already tell you they're everything that this chick sorry, I just think I think she's very overrated. I think there are much better, obviously there are much better filmmakers. There are much better women filmmakers out there that deserve a lot more credit than she does.
Yes.
She did that Pan movie back in 2015.
Pan.
Yeah, that live action Peter Pan movie. It's just called Pan,
Oh,
where
okay. I didn't know
Captain
that was
Hook
her.
looked like a high class gigolo.
Hmm.
Yeah, that sounds like her.
Yeah.
Well, she did Promising Young Woman, which is a decent movie. But like I said, Saltburn is just so bad. I feel like it destroys her credibility.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not very happy with Luc Besson, the guy that made The Fifth Element. He just made a film adaptation of Dracula that was not very good. That just came out.
How do
Um,
you mess up Dracula?
It's pretty
well, that's what
easy.
I said.
It's pretty easy
Well,
not to
well,
mess them up.
I was gonna say if you don't do anything new, or if you try too hard to do something new, that's how you screw it up. And somehow he managed to do both.
There's
Also, I love Guillermo del Toro. A big fan of his.
let's see, horror
The
limited.
Last Voyage of the Demeter. That was
That's
the
what I
most
was looking
recent.
up. Thank you. Dude, I was
Oh
looking that up right
That
now.
yeah.
I was
that was
telling
the
you,
last. That's the most recent Dracula movie,
I
vampire movie that
fucking
came. Dude,
love
that
that
was
movie.
great.
Oh,
And
I
a lot
hated
of
it.
The
what?
only the
I
only
hated
complaint
it.
I had about it is they took out the puppet dog.
Okay, so why did you hate it? Why did you hate it? Let's hear that.
Look, it was fine up until the last act.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the reason why was because here's the thing, I've read the novel several times.
Hmm.
The Demeter, that whole sequence that happens in the book is one of my favorites.
yeah,
So they introduced a character that was not in the book, that they like I think the movie would have been fine if they had made the just told the whole story of the movie from the perspective of the captain.
yeah.
Instead, they created this character just out of thin air.
Yeah.
And I like Corey Hawkins, okay? He's a really great actor. Don't get me wrong, but they made this character, and I would have been fine with it if they had killed him off. Because the whole point of that sequence in the book was that Dracula killed everybody. And that's what was so terrifying about it, was that he killed everybody on the ship, and he used the ship, as literally as a springboard to get into England, to begin his reign of terror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy lived. Well, the other chick kind of lived, but she died because she contracted the vampirism
Yeah.
or whatever. And then he's in England, the guy that lives through the Demeter, and he's in a bar getting drunk, and he looks up and he realizes that Dracula is wearing an overcoat and a top hat, and he's in the bar with them. And now all of a sudden he's a Van Helsing character, and they basically ended the movie on a cliffhanger, making you think that A, they were going to make another one, and B, that this guy was basically going to be the Van Helsing character, and he wasn't.
Huh.
And
That
I
would have been
just
cool if they did that though.
no, no. What would have been cool for me, as a Dracula fan, and perfectly fine for you to disagree with me if you want to, but I think it would have been kind of neat if this if Dracula ended up killing this guy, but he gave him one heck of a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was like the last man standing, and he tried to stop Dracula, but he just couldn't. He wasn't strong enough. But like maybe as he's dying, he's like, somebody will stop you because good triumphs over evil, or that whole jazz. And then the cool thing would have been for Dracula, like as soon as the ship made landfall, for him to jump off of the boat and just walk on shore in a human form, and just walk into the darkness. That would have been great. But they
That
they
would be
they missed the
scary.
opportunity. And on top of that, it's like they didn't even bother to make Dracula look like anything other than the creature rat form that he was in the whole movie. So like he's in the bar just in an overcoat and a top hat, and you can clearly see that he's a monster. It's like he would stick out like a sore thumb. Like people weren't that dumb back in 1897. They would have looked at him and been like, "Oi, there's something wrong with you." And I just thought it was dumb.
So going off of that, I just had this thought. Uh, he has that massive clash at the end with the guy. The guy dies. Some good always wins. Yada yada yada. And
Right.
then Dracula, like, ship hits. Dracula doesn't leap, but like is thrown from the ship, and then it fades to black. Does a whole like 3 days later thing and comes to. And Dracula is in an alley. He looks homeless. Somebody stumbles across him, does the whole goodwill. Well, let's get you inside, and then slowly begins his reign of terror.
See, that would have been a better ending
Yeah.
than what we got.
Yeah.
Just because
I agree.
just because I thought it was just arrogant of the people that made Last Voyage of the Demeter to assume that they had a good enough movie to make a franchise off of. And
Blade,
I don't think that right, Blade. like
like
which I
the dude pulls Dracula from the alleyway. They go inside, and as the door shuts, Dracula just turns and looks at the camera, smiles, and all you see is just sharp ass teeth, and then the door shuts.
right. Or like you kind of see a glimpse of him like turning back into like his bat rat creature
Yeah.
face. That would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Well,
We want to thank you so much for coming on, Count, and just talking to us and giving us your insight on movies, your knowledge on it. We hope you do amazing horror hosting in the near future, and we will be looking out for your stuff. So if you want to go ahead and tell people where to find you, I'm sure my lovely co-host and editor will put it somewhere.
you bet, boys. And hey, thank you so much for having me. This was a long time coming. I've been looking forward to coming on the show for a while, and I'm so glad that we got to do this. And please, if you ever want, I know I ramble a lot, but I have so much. I had so much fun with you guys. So if you ever want to have me back on, I'm down for it at any time. But again, my name is Count Drahoon, and you can find me on Instagram at Count Drahoon, all one word. Instagram, Facebook, X, all that good stuff. And then check me out on YouTube. I'm on Count Drahoon Presents. If you want to give me a subscribe, or greatly appreciate it. My goal this year is to try to get to 500 subscribers before the end of the year. And also check me out on Kings of Horror. All my interviews are up on there, as well as my episodes of the Chopping Block.
All right. So make sure you guys go follow him. I think we can get that 500 before the end of the year. I think we got this.
I think it's doable.
Yeah.
I really think it's doable.
I mean, we got to 1,000 on Facebook, so if we
There you
can
go.
do it. If we can do it, I know Count can do it. So,
I appreciate that.
and make sure you guys go follow him. And as for us, we will be going to Louisiana Comic Con March 14th and 15th. So we will be there giving out a bunch of prizes, raising money for NAMI, mental health awareness, and we got some good stuff. So come by, get your tickets from them. Come by, say hi to us, and we'll have a bunch of stuff, and you can win it for very, very, very cheap. So until next time, guys, this is Jay. That's Tank doing whatever Tank does. That's
I am
Count.
subscribing to our friend.
Oh, okay.
And
All right, guys. We will see y'all next episode. Peace out.
boy, guys.